thank you, Miigwech, for being here and speaking with us today.
Thank you.
So, Jerry, I want to start with you. I mean, as we just saw in that previous story, you said you mentioned you were going to visit the Pope to stand for your brother, your parents, and other survivors. Did you feel you got what you needed from that?
Well, when I arrived, I got to Musquechies. Well, my brother Dean came with me, and when we were sitting there listening to the apology, the statement from the Pope, like, you know, I trusted everything. Like, you know, I opened myself up, and I left myself vulnerable, and I heard all the words, and it was very like really triggering. Like, you know, it was all those memories came flowing back of residential school, and like, you know, I thought of all the children that didn't make it home, and it was just a very emotional time when I was there. Yeah.
Well, I can only imagine that. And this next question is for sort of either or one of you. It's been a few months now, so how has the Pope's apology, you know, sort of impacted your healing journey in the few months that it's been? Yeah, that's for either one of you again, that you can start with that.
Well, it certainly opened up a lot of eyes across Canada. I mean, we have a perception on our lives of being survivors and the legacy that we've lived through. So, as my fellow survivor friend, Geraldine, I was standing for my ancestors, and I was standing for my brothers and sisters that were taken. So, to me, there was value in the apology, in the fact that the highest of the Vatican came to apologize. I've always said that it's very personal, the apology to each survivor. There are some that will never accept it, but there's a lot and many that will do. So to me it changed, I'm hoping, the perception that has been placed upon us, our lives. I'm really hoping that it changed on my healing journey for the racism and stigmatism and marginalization on our people.
And Jerry, I'll ask you the same question. You know, how has his apology sort of impacted your own healing journey?
Well, when I came back from Musquechies, it took me a month. Like, you know, I left there broken. Like, you know, it was a very traumatizing experience for me because of what I witnessed there and what I seen, and it was, they were saying to forgive and heal and reconciliation. Mm-hmm. I kept hearing those three words, but when I seen the names of those little children that didn't make it home, it just really impacted me emotionally. But also, it took me a month to come out and say what happened. Like, you know, there was no supports, mm-hmm. There was no presence of our medicines, our sacred medicines. We couldn't even smudge after. Like, you know, it was all, and then when he made a statement, it was in his language, mm-hmm. But when he closed it with Our Father in English. Like, I'm wondering, why didn't he make his statement in English? It would have been more meaningful to me as well. But I recognize that, like, you know, that experience there at Musquechies, I'm hoping that, like, you know, Canadians were able to see, like, you know, the survivors that were there. We've seen a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. Yeah.
So there was a little bit of a longing, I guess, for a little bit more from the Pope then, just even if he could have done it in English even? Would that have been, yeah? Would have
been more meaningful, yes, yeah. Because, like, you know, when we were in residential school, we were taught, we were forced to learn English.
Right, yeah.
Like, you know, and that's the only language that I know now today, and, like, you know, so it was very hard to listen to that statement from another person and not from him. Mm-hmm. You know, it didn't mean anything to me. It wasn't meaningful.
Right. And Jennifer, I just want to switch gears a little bit and to still stay on this same topic. Along with being a residential school survivor, you also work at the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation, right? So what's that like for you, that dynamic of being a survivor but also working at such a, an organization that looks to do such great work for survivors?
I'm very proud to be working at the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation and being a survivor because, I understand the survivors and I know the survivors and they know me, and it's a place that's the record holder of all the records across Canada, the stewards and shepherds of our records. I feel very proud to work there, and I'm proud of the work that NCTR does. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of calls coming in across Canada for their records, for their family records, and I really feel that we are our own best resource when it comes to working with survivors and on behalf of survivors.
I don't know if this is the right way to phrase this question, but is it maybe easier or harder for you to work there, just given that you are a survivor of a residential school?
Well, certainly. I mean, there is records that are kept that are very confidential, and that we do get a lot of calls across Canada. But at the same time, I would rather be there because I'm passionate for working with survivors. I would rather be the one that taking the call and walking them through stuff. We get a lot of requests for presentations and the education portion of it. So I feel good that I'm there, and I want to teach people more and more about our legacy.
Mm-hmm. And staying on the same topic, what are some of the things that the NCTR is doing and working towards in terms of reconciliation right now that you can share with us?
Well, there's been a number of things. I mean, since the discovery of the unmarked graves and missing children, as you know, it galvanized our country to every household in Canada. NCTR has done a lot of work in terms of reconciliation. We just finished having Reconciliation Week, September, where they had huge crowds of education every day throughout the week in the Greater Toronto area in Mississauga. We've also attracted, there's different people that are coming on board now. The Ottawa coin that was on the grounds of NCTR, where they brought four original artists to make a coin that people could be gifted at for, a small amount. So there's different things going on, and of course, the survivors. We have over 3 million viewers as a result of Reconciliation Week and Education Week. And as well, there's a memorial cloth that the NCTR made with all the names of the missing children that never made it. It's I don't know how long it is, but it makes you spellbound when it comes into a room on the number of names on that memorial cloth.
Yeah, I bet it would. Yeah, that's really great work that you guys do, and you do as well. And I know, Jerry, you're a big advocate as well of sharing stories and making sure people are aware. So just given it's been a few months now since the papal visit and the apology, what more can be done, Jerry? Like what needs to happen now in the reconciliation journey and the healing journey?
Well, my vision is, I guess, to, and I've been quite an advocate for bringing justice, and the apology's been made, and they're saying truth and healing, but that can happen until somebody's criminally responsible. For the harms done to us residential school survivors when we were in that school. Because there was no admission from the Catholic Church when we went through the IAP, but also criminally responsible for, the little children that were left behind and that didn't make it home. Yeah. Yeah. We need to bring justice for those little ones.
Mm-hmm. And Jennifer, same thing to you. I mean, what do you think needs to happen now on this healing journey and this reconciliation journey? Because it's far from over, right? An apology's happened, but plenty more still needs to be done.
Well, I certainly hope that the governments honor, and different organizations across Canada will honor the 94 calls to action from the NCTR. I hope that the government will look at the current state of the housing poverty on our communities. I hope that they'll look at the rise of the youth in our country that are the fastest growing. I really hope that Canadians will step up and governments will step up and really look at the reality that's happening in our communities and learn about our history, learn about the legacy. Put curriculums into the schools about the history of residential school, the real truth, our narrative. And I really believe that's happening today.
And we're running a bit short on time, but I just wanted to pick up on one thing you mentioned, and I guess we'll just sort of end it on this question to the both of you, is how important is the youth in this, right? Like, because you had just mentioned the youth. I mean, how important is it that they're a part of this and you know, aware of this? Jerry?
Well, with the youth, they need to be more inclusion with the youth, like because with when the 215 came out, you seen a major shift with the youth. They were angry. They wanted justice. They wanted to see some kind of action happening, and they still do. Like, you know, we need to involve them in that process as well. Like, you know, they advocate for us. They know that genocide happened, like, you know, in those residential schools, and they have a different view than I do as a survivor, and I know that they want to protect. They want to protect us. They want to protect their ancestors. That's what they want to do.
And I'll just finish it off with you on that same question there, Jennifer. Just we're running, like I said, a bit short on time, but yeah, just how important is the youth, and maybe you could give sort of a NCTR angle to maybe some of the youth and how important they are.
Well, right now at NCTR we offer the Namakwinamuk Fund, I Remember Them Fund. It's for communities and survivors across Canada that want to heal in their own way, in every which way they think is best for them. And what we're seeing across Canada with the application process that we're receiving is a lot of the youth are getting involved. A lot of the schools are getting involved. They're doing land-based education. They're learning about their culture and teachings and values. So it really makes me feel good, and I really think that's the key for our youth, is to go back to learn their identity, learn their language, and learn the teachings of their culture.
That's actually very empowering to hear, and that's such a great thing to hear. But we are going to have to leave it there, guys. But I do want to say a big thank you, Miigwech, to the both of you for coming in, sharing your story, your insight, and your knowledge in this. And again, it's a long journey, and I know it's been a hard journey, but thank you, Miigwech, for coming in.
Miigwech.